I don't know.
Okay.
It depends on, if you ask me what would I like? I've got everything, so I don't need anything, but depends on what.
Present for you.
What is it?
Open it.
At home.
Come on, that's too fresh.
Oh,
I'm telling you, they're popular products.
yeah.
Sustainable, reusable. Home to Adventures gotta grasp that concept.
Hey, that would be nice to put in like your burger, like my purse.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, because a lot of times I don't eat like the bun or something off of my,
Uh-huh,
so I'm like, can I get a fork? And most of the time they forget it anyway, so that'd
bam,
be awesome.
there you go.
course, I
Got one
forget
customer already.
Throw that in your
I forget
purse.
it's in the bottom of my purse too, though.
Maybe a new bag, depending on how old this rewarding bag is, new bags are nice.
I can't buy that one bag for $4.14. I don't have a relationship with that supplier.
So how much?
They're like $5 something for the 150 quantity.
Just send me how much,
Okay.
because I go, if it's on eBay, I don't pay, I don't, not to pay sales tax, we don't have to pay sales tax.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's get started. How many online there?
3.
And Teresa, Mark, welcome, everybody. We're missing. Dave's out of town.
Lynn sent me a message saying he wouldn't be able to make it today.
Okay. Kevin's not here. Top Brightwell's not here. Ty's not here. David's not here. Okay. Well, we'll get started. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes. So any changes and corrections on our minutes? If not, have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay, Larry, and then we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Jim, second. All in favor? Aye.
Yep.
Okay, committee reports and assignments. So we have the 6 different committees. I know we've had some committee chairs have been working very hard and getting their committees going. So, Jim, why don't we start with you on your business retention committee?
Well, we've had 2 meetings. That's a step in the right direction, right?
Yep.
So I think the main report is probably working towards a survey or a big community business meeting to try to see what the real needs are for the local businesses, and then just see where we can go from there.
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to talk about the innovation center.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
a presentation. So,
Mark, how about your committee, for the,
Hey, wait a minute. We came up with kind of a motto.
okay,
At least I put it in my minutes. I don't know if we approved it or not, but so our goal as a committee is to help businesses find one more employee. So we're just going to try to work with the local businesses, figure out what they need so they can grow to hire at least one more employee.
okay, good. Mark, your education committee, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah, we met a couple times. We've had pretty good participation. I think the biggest thing for us was just a vision in working with MTech and UVU of how we wanted to move forward, and that would help, delineate what kind of goals we wanted to have. And I think you and Kevin Johnson laid out a pretty good vision. Obviously, our branding for the city is Gateway to Adventure, and so we wanted to do educational adventures. As we work with UVU and MTech and providing work experience opportunities, shadowing, whatever the case may be, for their students to have opportunities to get into the workforce particularly here in Payson with the businesses here and get the experience they want. It could be now UVU and MTech, have placement coordinators. And so they already have some established channels, but one of the goals we looked at, we thought would be helpful for them is getting to know the businesses a little better in Payson and finding out how they could use interns or someone who's shadowing or wants to learn a little bit more about the trade or the opportunity there here in Payson. And so our goal going forward is taking an inventory of the businesses and coordinating those businesses with UVU and MTech to provide additional experiences and opportunities for their students. Kevin Johnson did a nice job of explaining how it works in real life. He says he's had administrative interns come and work with him, and if they've got a project that they just haven't been able to move, those interns are really helpful in taking a project that's clearly delineated and moving forward with it and helping them to accomplish it. At the same time, it gives them great experience for what they need. And then as well, he also talked about not just, for higher education, but down to, we've got Ben on our committee as well, finding opportunities for high school students. Even Kevin shared a nice experience where some of the kids from a local elementary school came and toured the hospital, and then he came and spoke to them at their elementary school, and that was a great opportunity for them just to see a little bit of how the hospital works and what's involved there, but also go to the school and be involved with what they're doing. So our vision is, and you can amplify on this, Brian, because you're really helping to guide this vision, is education adventure and making it an exciting experience where kids can get hands-on opportunities to learn more about the trade they're interested in or do an internship in it. And so again, the goal we're looking at here is taking whatever businesses there are in Payson and marrying them up to some of the opportunities kids are looking for in the school systems. Would you add anything else to that, Brian?
No, but we have Kevin and Ben here. Do you want to add anything?
Oh yeah, Kevin's there.
No, that's a good summary. Yeah, I think the whole idea is to build off the adventure, right, theme, and adventure and education is something that could set us apart. If we can find ways to make the educational opportunities all the way K through 12 and even at the college level different than other communities by creating opportunities to have more experience-based education, not just classroom, then we think that that could be something that sets us apart from other communities and should could provide a competitive advantage. So.
Great, thanks, Jim and Mark.
And I think eventually, sorry to interrupt, I think eventually what we're going to do is I've asked Joseph Dema of MTech and Christian Britton has taken Steve Anderson's place to give us some kind of one-page summary of what they're trying to help place for their students, for internships, things like that we can maybe share with businesses in our community and say, hey, is there a potential fit here where we could, get a student to help you with a project or whatever you want to do, or even just do some shadowing at your business. And so there may be a need, and we can talk about this more later of through this committee of reaching out to the businesses in Payson and getting the word out, because I think that's really what we're looking for, is to connect the businesses in Payson with these opportunities that I think will help them both. I think, Brian, you identified one that worked really well with Paris RV, and needing technicians to be able to work on the trailers. Well, that could work well possibly with MTech and finding a way to provide opportunities there. So it's really at some point maybe leaning on this committee a little bit to reach out to the Payson businesses and finding out if they're willing to host something like this and kind of the model, how it works, kind of like what Kevin explained to us during our education committee meeting.
Great, thanks, Mark. Chris.
I was just gonna say, we're gonna go through the business retention, we're gonna go through all those businesses and maybe in the process.
Yeah, I
we
see
hit,
some connections there, huh?
we can kind of ask them if they need any.
Education needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus he's talking about getting a list of businesses to kind of follow up with and try to research for education purposes. I think if we can work together on getting, it's so hard to go meet, 100 different businesses.
yeah.
So we're just gonna find a way to get that message out as best we can.
Can I ask a question about before we do it? Sorry. Being relatively new, right? What are the guidelines or the parameters to select a business or leave a business out that we visit or that we contact to see what their needs are? Do we contact all businesses, or I know we focus, target the larger businesses, but some of the smaller businesses, do we reach out to them as well? What's the guide, I guess is my question. And I look, I'm in, Ace Hardware the other day, and they're a relatively big business, relatively speaking. Maybe there's some of the business, but I look at a business like that and other businesses, whereas we try to get a Home Depot or a Lowe's or someone to come to town, which will directly impact somebody like that. Short of telling them, no, we're going to tell them they can't, Home Depot can't come. Do we reach out to someone like that to see what we can do to help them maintain their business? What's the guidelines to
So-
the businesses we select?
Yeah, so it's kind of broken up into a couple things, and this is, we can change it all anytime, but we have the list of ones that we visit. And there's only so many of us that we can go around and visit so many businesses. So the way we kind of selected those, either they're a high employee business or they're a high tax, sales tax business. So that's kind of where we broke it down. Then we try to work with the chamber to kind of catch some of the rest of those, where they have, what do you call it?
More small to mid-size is
Yeah.
more of our membership base.
But you have, what do you call them when they go out?
Oh, the ambassador.
Ambassador program. So they have an ambassador program. So they'll come back and report to us too, and we can report to them. And then if we see something that we want to add, it's up to this group to say, hey, let's add this one too, or like Ace Hardware. I don't think that's on our list, but I have to visit with them. We've talked about, about Lowe's or Home Depot company.
With him.
Yeah, and he's fine with it. He's fine with it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, so that's kind of any discussion about how we ought to, do we want to look at it any differently? I have, there's no set parameters here.
I
So.
think it's more important to know what criteria we're wanting to get from them, like the education and employees. And so I think if we don't have a basis for the conversation, it's just going to be a hi, how you doing type meeting. So I think it's really important that we really pin down maybe 3, 4, 5 bullet points of information to gather each time we do talk to people. Because just in our normal day of life, we're going to run into a half a dozen businesses, between meetings, and we can have that conversation. But if we don't have those bullet points, it becomes more of a social interaction than a real seek and find meeting.
Yeah, and I guess there's 2 ways to look at that. One is to have information for us. The other is to, if it's just a social thing, that they know they can come to you and they're there and you know them. So I guess there's 2 ways. You don't want to just be getting information all the time, but that's important. But you also want to
Make
build,
them feel
that
welcome.
they can come to you if there's something coming up. That's one of the things I really pushed for this, is because we had like Rocky Mountain ATV. We didn't know anything about it, but they were looking to do manufacturing, and pretty soon they bought land across the United States, and we weren't even aware of it. So, and that's where we grow our, instead of trying to recruit business from out of town, we grow them in town. So does that answer anything, Larry, or is that just muddle everything?
Well, yeah, I think it's important that some of those businesses are, and maybe they're already being contacted through the program you're talking about, but some of those startup businesses may become mega businesses.
Right, yep.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
I think you already have a list and some assignments for members of this committee that we could probably use as well, correct?
Yeah. we do have assignments. So. And if we want to add to those, if you look at the list and you see somebody you want to add to it, more than happy to add them, because we just didn't want it to have 3 or 4 assigned to everybody, and then it gets overwhelming for us. So we're trying to work with the chamber and kind of do both ways, and they're gonna kind of pick up.
Yeah,
some of
we're
those.
just building that ambassador program now, so it's a slow roll.
Sorry, Chris, thanks for.
No, no.
interrupting.
Well, I'm glad you brought something I want to discussion here.
Well, because the interesting thing was you learned that there's what 600 business licenses
Yeah.
in the city of Payson.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of home base and I mean, and even not to dismiss the home base ones, but there's a lot of growth that can happen from just what we have.
Just us here, yeah.
So this will be fun. Golf tournament, we have now got our invitation and our sponsorship program ready to go. And now it's just a matter of getting invitations out. So we're moving forward with that.
I'll tell the date.
It is October 4th. We've added a couple of things to it. We're still doing the helicopter ride, but we are encouraging them to come early. Registration is between 9 and 9:30, but we're encouraging them to come early, like 8:30 to start the helicopter ride or to go shopping in the Travis Matthews clothing store, which they'll get a $150 gift certificate, which technically is $300 value because they discount their items. So, and then, but we're gonna be giving prizes away every half an hour, and that's what we're starting to work on is, you know, talking to some of our businesses locally to find out if they have some prizes that we can raffle off in the morning before the actual tournament. And that way it gives people an opportunity to come and do some networking, visit with everybody before they actually hit the golf course. So.
So another thing to go along with that, if you know any businesses that we might be able to recruit to come to Payson, you know, get with me and we can talk about, see if those are the ones we want to invite. Also, there's a lot of commercial realtors. I think they're the ones that have more contact with a lot of businesses than anybody, right, David? They're the ones that really are out there doing it. So if you have those two, we'd like to invite those two, and so it's up to us to find people to invite. So another thing is, if anybody knows a helicopter company that can have 4 passengers instead of 3, let us know. So we can
Get the whole team up.
so we can do it to the team instead of make it a little easier. So we really like the guy that's done it for us, but it'd be nice if we had one that had a little more seating.
We don't need the pilot.
Can you send out that sponsorship package?
Yes.
Try to get our businesses.
Yes, I will email a digital copy of this and the sponsorship.
Okay, is Ty on here? Okay, so he's done well with chairing the downtown group. We have put in an application, become a Utah state downtown organization recognized by the state, and be part of that organization. So that's been put in. And maybe Robert, you can tell us, or Mayor, kind of give us the latest on the streetscape.
Well, we've been able to, the system that we've used to bid it out has allowed us to get down into the weeds, so to speak, of all, you know, all the what was it, the ledger, the bid.
Yeah, all of the line items.
Line items. And we're finding some things that we want to, I don't know whether that's happened yet or not.
Yeah, so the engineers, Travis and Jonathan, went specifically over each of the line items and how they were calculated. And there's some pretty significant discrepancies in there. So they met with the contractor the day before yesterday just to go over those things. So hopefully we can get it down like another $1.5 million. And if we were to do that, then we would at least get all the way to Fifth South. So some significant improvements to be made there. So
well, a little bit, a lot of that we hadn't anticipated, and, you know, if we can get it down, then we do more, so.
And I think from this group, it would be helpful to understand, you know, timing. Timing would be really, really helpful as far as, you know, there's probably an opportunity to start this year, but is that the best thing? We still have some coordination to do with the folks downtown. And depending on what the contractors say, if they're willing to reduce their price or whatever, we may be going out to bid, which that would be in the fall anyway. So with an anticipated start date of next spring, so spring 2024. And maybe just some feedback on what do you think the best timeline is?
Yeah, and one of those timeline issues is the CDBG facade grant that we've got through that organization, and that we can't get that money till July 1st. And so there'd be some time that we could maybe use to use that money to improve the back entrances so they could not be impacted as much. Like, the We Blue down there, they need at least 30 days, if not more, because if they change the way that the customers come in, they have to run that past the alcohol commission. And the alcohol commission, it'd be a formality, but it's one of those red tape issues that takes a little while. So, crazy.
And the grant they got, Robert and Jill worked on this, is the $200,000 through MAG, CPG. And then the city's gonna put in $100,000, so it's gonna be $300,000 for facade improvements downtown. So that'll be really nice to go along with the streetscape too. So.
As long as we're gonna be, you know, X millions of dollars, at least $8, $9, $10 million, we might go do it the right way.
Seems like to me it would make sense to do that, try to improve the back first and get them prepared for that, so then we shut down on the ground.
The original plan was to start at 600 or 700 South Main. You know, 700 South is where CUP started and went south, and we were going to start there and go north. So that would have given some substantial time for the downtown by the time we got there. But sometimes
We don't want to run out of money before we get to downtown.
And that really is the issue that now, you know, we have a pot of money that's available for this project. And the bid is substantially larger than that pot of money. So at this point, we'll probably be starting at 100 North and moving south just to ensure that we were able to do all of that work, right? And that's why I say, if we start at 100 North and start moving south, then it just becomes a determination of how far we can go with the pot of money that we have. And that's why we're trying to go through each line item and really be very exact in the amount of money that we're talking about here, because that just means more bang for our buck.
We have to spend the $5 million on this road and infrastructure. And that can only get us so far with the business guy. It needs to be good.
Well, my counsel is sooner is better than later. So, I mean, if you can start in the fall, I would start in the fall versus starting in the spring myself.
We'd like to get sooner than later too. You know, we've been planning this for a long time. We just like to kick it in the butt and go. Sometimes it's not as easy as it sounds.
It's just that coordination.
So Ben, you have an elementary school where part of this project, we go far enough. How would it affect them what time the year they start, you know? I mean,
We'll work around it. I don't see where that will have an impact. I mean, it's gonna have an impact, but I don't think you're not gonna be able to do it all in the summer anyway, so it's gonna impact us, and we'll just work around it.
It's a couple-year project.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that report. Dan, I think we still need to get together and work on our strategic plan, so let's plan on that.
Yes, let's.
Okay, you cut out there.
I did. I'm sorry. I said, yes, let's do that.
Okay. So that's all the committee reports. So that's great. We're getting these committees going, and I think it's going to really help move some of these things along. So then we can have reports here and go through them. So next thing I have is I'm giving a report tonight to the RDA, which is a redevelopment agency. I've been working, trying to get a business resource center and innovation center here in Payson. And it started out that the Stevens School District is going to sell Wilson to the city, and they thought it'd be sooner than later. Some plan change, so it's going to be a bit later. And we thought we'd be able to do an innovation business resource center in there. But that changed a little bit. So it changed the focus of how we're doing this. And this is the presentation I'm going to give to the RDA tonight. And if you guys can give me comments and feedback, and I would really appreciate that. Let me see. So this is for a business resource and innovation center presentation. And we have Payson Home to Adventure, and we basically have 3 or 4 different categories for that adventure. One's education, one's the people, one's recreation, the outdoor recreation, the other is business. So this goes along with business and partly education too.
Brian, is it
Yes.
shared online?
I forgot to share it. Sorry.
Thanks.
Now I gotta get out of this back there.
What were those 4 pillars? Education, people, business?
And outdoor recreation. Well, recreation, but generally outdoor recreation. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes. Thanks.
How do I shrink this? Right here.
A little straight line at the
There
top.
we go.
People go away.
Okay. So the philosophy behind the Business Resource and Innovation Center, just to give a little reasons why to do this. In today's world, the communities that cannot differentiate themselves will have no competitive advantage. It is important for local elected officials to bring the same commitment and enthusiasm to existing businesses and as they do to new business prospects. So that's something we've been already talking about today. Research indicates that a great majority of all new jobs in any local community are produced by small local businesses already in the community. And this is a study, or this is what Littleton, Colorado did. They decided to focus on the entrepreneurs and second stage businesses. And I've got to go back and figure out what time period this is, but since then they've added from 15,000 to 30,000 jobs, or grown from 15,000 to 30,000. And the retail tax base is tripled from 6 million to 21 million. This all comes out of a book called Small Town Economic Development. And then just go along with this also, and this is out of the same book. In recent years, many cities have shifted their primary economic development focus away from attracting large businesses to growing local businesses. And it said local officials can help create an environment that supports the growth and expansion of local businesses. And then it talks about that to support them, such services as small development centers, entrepreneurial training, marketing information, networking opportunities, and marketing assistance, and business incubators and financing opportunities will help that. Basically, this innovation business center will cover all those areas. So this is the MTech building that they're going to build. And right here, they only went 1 story. They ran out of money. They didn't have money to finish this little space. It's about 2,700 square feet. So as I got talking to them after, we had to figure out Wilson wouldn't quite work for us. Why don't we look at doing something with this space? And they really wanted to build it up, and we started talking, they were really excited that maybe they could do something there. So this is what we came up with for a business resource and innovation center. So this is in that space at 2,700 square feet.
That would be the second floor.
Floor, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that little piece is missing. So we'd have 3 phone booths. And these are just little places that people, like if they're traveling or in the building or something, they go in, it gives them quiet, they plug in a computer, talk on the phone, anyway, just they'll be able to use that. And we have a conference room for 6 to 8 people, so if they have little meetings. And we have office spaces, 6 office spaces. And there, a lot of the cities in Utah now have these business resource centers. Vernal, Roosevelt, Cedar City, Moab, they're all put in these places. And as I've talked to them, they say the biggest thing is they run out of this office space. People for these startups, they have waiting lists. And so I try to get as many spaces as I could in this. They're real big, they're like 10.5 by 10.5, but you get 2 or 3 people in those if you need to. So that's the biggest thing. Then we have a podcast room, so if somebody wants to do podcasts, and I think they have one over at Salem, right? Podcast room.
Yes.
Okay. So like if the city wanted to start doing podcasts, we go there and be able to do podcasts. Then there's a workroom, and I'll go through that in a minute. And then this is the area down here is where you could have people can have desks and just plug in a laptop. So it's just kind of a shared space. A little break area, refrigerator, sink, and stuff like that. Then we got tables here, work area. So in these tables in this work area here, we're gonna have some 3D printers, a large format printer, vinyl cutter. Mine has some sewing machines and embroidery machines, laser cutter, small laser cutter, heat press, copy machine, things like that. So it's just kind of things that people can use. And it won't be just for these people here that use these offices, but anybody, a small business or any business that needs to use those can come in and check them out. Then right here, we have just a reception area. Any questions on kind of layout, what we're looking at here?
What little I know about it, and I've been with you on some of the stuff, they become a member of that, and they have to, they pay for that and the use, right? It's kind of like checking things out at the library, but there is a.
Yeah, for some of the
base-
use. Yeah.
Membership fee.
Yeah, so on some of that, the office space will be rented, and the conference room, they can rent at certain times, but some of the equipment, and we'll go through that a little bit more because there's another piece to this besides this.
I know on the positive side, when we went down to St. George, that the Tucson Theater couldn't afford some of the things that they needed to have to put on the productions because they only have it for a finite period of time. They don't need to buy it. And so they come in and rent that.
Yeah, I'll just keep ahead real quick here.
Quick question, Brian.
Yeah.
Does the podcast room, is that gonna have like also like video equipment and a green screen?
We can probably whatever, I'm not an expert on that, so whatever we need to have in there.
I just think that is definitely an emerging technology that is very lucrative.
Yeah, I would think that's what we.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to get too far into the weeds, but on that office space, are we talking short-term leases or just like as they need, like an hourly rate, or how does that work for the businesses to use them? I mean, are they committing to it for an hourly rate or a short-term lease, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the conference room would be like an hourly use, and the office space would be for startups, or like if they're coming from a home business and they're trying to grow a little bit, but they don't have enough money. It'll be good rates. They don't have enough money to go to starting, to go to like where Q90 is or something like that. So those will be like term leases, like a 2-year, 1 year, or something like that. And the idea is to get them started there, help them grow, and then move them out and keep them growing after, so we can move other people through there. So that's kind of the idea of that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so going to what the mayor was talking about, also besides a little bit of equipment that's going to be in this space, we're going to have a maker space that we're working with MTech, where we'll have a large laser cutter, welders, bigger 3D printers, CNC machines, plasma cutters, mills, and lathes that people can, once they're trained, can come in and use those. So if you're a business and you want to make some prototypes and things like that, then you can come in and do that. So that will be in other parts of the, like in their advanced manufacturing, some of those will be in those areas. So
Is
there's,
this a city-owned facility or?
this will be MTech owned facility. And I'll go through that here in just a minute, how this is all gonna work. So I just wanted to go through back. Okay, so this is the place right here that we'll be building. And then one time they had restrooms in here and only a couple office space, 4 office spaces, but there's a restroom right here. So there's a use of a this is the rest of part of the rest of that second floor of the building. So the restroom here, this is an open work area. This is a bigger conference room. This is like classrooms, and we'll be able to use all those, check them out, use those places also. So it really gives us a lot more than just this one place that we're going to be renting, but it gives us a lot of use, a lot of areas. So. This is just some of the things that we can do there. We can have Shark Tank competition, maybe one of the office spaces. It's free if you win the Shark Tank competition or something like that. The coaching, mentorship, custom fit, which MTech does, which would be really great for businesses here because you can get trained like you have certain, like if let's say the PCC packaging wants some training on for something, they can work with MTech and they'll bring somebody in and train them. So that can work for any business.
Well, the bigger thing in custom fit is they reimburse you like 45% of the costs.
Right.
So anybody in this room can do any kind of training to better their business skills, and they've got so much money in their budget, they'll just give you 45%.
Yeah, they actually have $1.3 million for.
So they do run out of money every year, so the earlier in the year you get trained, the better.
Entrepreneurial classes, marketing assistant, business launch, help write business plans, help to grow your business, prototyping, and community education. So that's some of the things that we could do in this area. Talk about that. So some of the partners we have is MTech would be a partner, strategic partner. UVU wants to be a big partner in this. We have the chamber. We have the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, World Trade Center. They're going to have somebody else come down here like once a week or something like that. Utah County, we talked to the commissioner on this about them being part of this. Then other resources that we haven't talked to, but we need to is MAG, Workforce Services, Central Bank. The Central Bank has an entrepreneurial program. They just hired somebody to run that. So. Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. I know they have lots of grants for rural areas, but we can see what they can help us with. Dominion Energy, and where David's talked to them a little bit about seeing if they can help us, like some of the makerspace equipment, stuff like that. BYU, and then the SBA and the SCORE program. So there's lots of different partners we could have be involved with this. This helps network with our community too. So this is kind of the meat and the potatoes of the ask. So the build this out is going to be about $1.5 million. MTech is committed to do $600,000 of that. And they will maintain this space. They will pay all the utilities and things like that. So basically, when we get into it, we don't have to do much with it. So this is the ask for Payson. So they would like the $900,000, and that would be paid up front. And then we'd have a 10 to 15-year lease because we cannot purchase that piece because they're going to own the building. So it would be basically a prepaid lease, so we pay up front. We have money in the RDA fund, which is redevelopment agency, and that money basically came from our business park. And so it'd be nice to put some of this money back into helping businesses. And even some of that money came from selling land so MTech could come into this property down there on Red Ridge. So that's where the funding would come from, be the ask. With the lease, the nice thing about the lease, and this will be all in the contract with MTech, we haven't figured out all the details, but And let's say that in 5 years from now, we decide we have a lot better, bigger space to do this, or it's not working or something like that. They would pay us back for the pro rate of what we haven't used. So it's pretty good deals that you don't have a lot of risk in it. And then Payson would receive all the monies from the rent of the space. We do the supplies for like the printer or the copy machine, stuff like that, but also the, like if the vinyl cutter, stuff like that, we're gonna charge whoever's using them for their supplies, so we'd have to take care of that. It's subject to lease terms approved by the city council and the RDA. Half-time employee, so just so you know that UVU is already committed to a half-time employee for this space. And so someplace else, if we want full-time, we'd have to come up with that. Some of that could come from the lease of the office space. Some of it could come from some of these other partners. And I think that should be a pretty easy deal to get that other half-time employee. And I'd like to have a full-time employee just to help run it. I mean, they could help with so many things, businesses. When we're trying to find out, more about businesses and just help them. So that's something we have to work on. And then we'd also have the use besides this area, we'd have the uses, the maker space, the open workroom, and the classroom space from the MTech building. So the UVU really wants to be involved with this, so they have the SBDC, they could have them come down, the World Trade Center, they have employees that could come down from that. They have software and technical support and then processing contracts. So they want to be a big part of this. So it'd be really nice to have MTech or UVU starting to get down here. And the boss of the person over the Peter J over at UVU over their Business Resource Center is Steve Anderson, which is right just below the president. So, and he also wants to have like continuing education down there. If we could start working, getting some of that continuing education. So that's the presentation. Any questions or any ideas how to better present this, or do you think it's a
I have a
bad
question.
idea?
Maybe it's just because this MTech is new to me and I'm ignorant.
Okay.
But if they own the building and Payson City receives the rent, why does it, what's in it for MTech? Where do they get their money? How do they sustain themselves?
Well, the thing is, they want this build, they want that built out.
Built out.
Yeah, they don't want it.
They get the advantage of building the building they want with some financial help.
Yeah.
They don't get the access to it for 10 to 15 years, but.
Oh, so it's a temporary thing.
The
When
lease.
there's a tender,
Well, it's 10 to 15 year lease, and then they have control of that space again long term
Yep.
for their own expansion or whatever, so.
And also they want just to be part of the businesses, and they think it's gonna be advantageous because it's gonna attract people down there that'll want to sign up for their classes and be part of the community. It's just, they just want to be part of it too. So it's more than just filling the space, but filling the space was probably the biggest thing, but anyway, that's kind of why.
Yeah, I think it's a great, I love the idea, and obviously I've been involved with it for a long time. I think it's great. Have we gone to the point of putting together a pro forma on it, just so we know like what those costs are gonna be, half-time employee, maintenance on the equipment, and
They're, MTech's taking care of all the maintenance of everything.
so I guess supplies, should still have your
Yeah,
supplies.
supposedly the supplies, yeah, we haven't done that, but the supplies ought to be offset by whoever uses them.
That would be my only thought, is just the putting together a pro forma, because when we went down to St. George and when we toured that, I mean, they were running off of money from the Miller Foundation.
Right.
And so I think this potentially has, a great opportunity to benefit the city, but it also has the potential to be a big drain to the city as well. And so I think just probably understanding the numbers behind that and making sure that it can support itself and that it's not a drain.
The one up to Price is connected to Utah State University too, and so there is a mixture there as well.
Because that one, St. George was Dixie, well,
Yeah, Dixie
yeah,
had
it
some
was Dixie at the
involvement
time,
in
and
it.
it went down here. and then the Millers, but it was mainly, I mean, the Millers were supporting it too. It was a pretty big drain at the time.
Yeah, and I guess the nice thing about this, we've already got commitment for the half-time employee.
Yeah.
And where we don't have to pay utilities or any costs,
Mhm.
you know, it's,
There's not a lot of
there's
overhead.
not a lot of
Just
overhead.
a half-time employee.
Basically, the half-time employee is basically the
True.
overhead that I look at, so.
True.
Which, and
And
again,
then is the insurance, because I know we talked to MTech, their insurance, whoever went in there and used the equipment had to apply for and pay to MTech to be covered under their insurance policy. Is that the same up in this new space that's being proposed? Or do we have, does the city have to carry additional liability insurance on that?
I don't know on that. So it's something that I know with the makerspace equipment, yes, they cite something, they take care of that.
And I know it was really reasonable. I can't remember what he said, but it was quite reasonable.
But yes, regional project.
Yeah.
And then who's paying for the equipment? Is that included in
That's
your,
included in the
in the whole
1.5.
1.5 million, all the equipment you listed?
Including the workroom equipment.
Yep. And if it goes over the 1.5, they said they're covering whatever. So if it goes over it, they're covering it. So our commitment is to 900,000, no matter what, it's gonna be off with all the commitment or all the equipment.
So the other thought, up in Vernal, Strata Network is a main sponsor of their innovation center. So they split the cost between Strata, Utah County, or Uinta County, and Vernal City. So if we do run short of money, we could always pull in a sponsor and,
Well, that's what the list is
yeah.
on there. That's the idea behind that. And that's why we've talked to Dominion and trying to get some.
So I do like that. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of overhead with this, the way it's set up. It's gonna be pretty simple.
Not a bad idea though, to run just a.
I would run a
break-even
pro forma.
analysis. Just
Yeah.
run a
Right,
pro
right.
forma, know where break even is,
Yeah.
cover your costs, and then you got a good idea of what you gotta do.
And then probably find out too, like what, I've called that guy in St. George several times. I've not heard back. It'd be interesting just to know like what their pricing even is for their membership these days, just what.
Vernal charges $200 a month to rent the office space. And then I think you pay $10 if you want to hang out there for the day and use their internet, $5 for the phone booth, and really nominal fees.
One advantage we have here is that we actually part of the campus and down in St. George, of course, not.
Yeah, that's true.
And it'll be right there.
True.
I know, we were looking at some space in Linden that has kind of the same design where you can have a little office and a shared office space, just like you talked about, Brian. It was around, I think, $732 for a 10 by 12 space with access to a conference room and kind of a common waiting area. So
Yeah, so we wouldn't want to charge that much, one, because we're down here, but we also want to help these startups.
Right.
And so if you got 350, 400 times 6, I mean, that'd probably pretty much cover your half-time employee if you didn't have to go out.
Performer would help establish that.
Yeah. Anyway, anything, Robert?
Just kind of thinking about the logistics of this, I think it might also be wise to think about the possibility of, if you're only leasing 3 out of 4 of those office spaces, and then 1 could be available for short-term use, like if somebody needed one for a day or something like that.
Right.
If, like a broker needed to do a closing or something like that.
That's not your space.
Then that just opens up additional opportunity for that specific space. I think this is a good idea. I think, who owns the equipment?
Yeah, and then somebody else asked me that. But I'm guessing, and we haven't discussed this, but since I think MTech owns the equipment, so they're gonna do the maintenance and everything.
I'm sure under the structure, I would have to think.
Under the makerspace for sure, but
Yeah.
up in the conference, up in our space, I don't know. It's not gonna be that very expensive equipment, so you might have 20 or 30,000, but I'm guessing they'll own that.
Will there be an opportunity to renew the lease down the road with them?
Oh, I'm sure there would be. Going back to your one thing too, is that conference room, so if anybody has a closing or something like that.
Yeah, I think having that available.
Right. But I think we
Just need
will,
a smaller space
right,
for like a week or a couple
Right.
days or something.
and I think we'll probably keep one open, so like if the score comes down, or World Trade Center guy comes down, or even the guy the employee that's working there has some space, so probably use one for something like that, so.
We need to take advantage of the educational facilities. It's a good way to do it.
And one thing really excites me, how much you wants to be involved, more than just MTech,
That is interesting, actually, but
yeah, they're really on board, so.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's what we're presenting. If anybody wants to go tonight, it's last thing on the agenda, but I'm gonna ask for a commitment. See if we can go from there.
Hey, Brian, going back to that with the UVU, what is the commitment to UVU for them providing an employee? Does that then like open it up to UVU students where they go in, or what is, kind of help me understand that or walk me through that a little
They
bit?
haven't asked for anything. They just wanted them, if they have their business resource center and they want to be out in the communities, and they haven't asked for anything, but they think that their students would be involved, like if we have the shark tank competition, or have some startups, or they want to have that opportunity too, but as far as an ask, there hasn't been any ask. Okay, great, thanks, everybody. Venture Day. That's coming up June 3rd. There's a couple of posters we're gonna put up. Pass this around if you want. So, anybody that's, we have the Dazzle Puzzle, that day also. Mary, do you want to say anything about Venture Day, or?
No, I think, the council just has decided that first weekend in June every year will be Adventure Days, and just to revisit the rollout that we had with the new, no, I don't have it. They have a new logo. And I usually do, but this is UTA, so I want to mention that too. No, I think it's going to be a great, lot of the involvement that can come this year and future years, so I think so.
One thing too about it is, one reason we're doing is to establish our brand better. And also, we aren't going to change Onion Days. It's always been the Onion Days. We don't want to take away from Onion Days. So this will help establish our brand, but still keep Onion Days. It's interesting. I was at the thing from my wife's school Monday night. And somebody there lived in Spanish Fork. They talked about our brand,
So we do need to get some marketing out, because there's one pickleball player, one car in the car show, and 27 horseback riders and nothing else.
the horseback riders.
I don't know where they came from, but yeah, I think we got to really work on getting that word out, because people are not registering. They just don't know.
Yeah,
It's been very difficult to go to the main web page to find the link, and then they get confused on the big long list.
So yeah, we gotta work on that. So anyway, we'll get these posters out. And so if anybody, let people know we're doing this, it should be fun. The Dazzle Puzzle will be great.
There should be some information probably give the information to Carl, but for a frisbee golf event up the Payson Canyon
Yeah,
Park.
I think we had talked about that. I think that's been coordinated.
So can we all get copies of these posters?
I can send you want.
I would like a couple of them, and we could put them throughout the building.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
get you. We got 30 of them, so of each, so if we can print more, we can, so. You guys can put these up here, but I can drop some down in the theater. What time is it?
5-2.
Not 5:02, okay, Mary, do you have anything to report, anything new, or?
Well, I don't know whether, it's been a while, whether we talked about the I-15 funding that we've got for the new interchange, $100 million. We, as a result of hired our lobbyists and the support we've got from our local representatives, Mike McKell being senator, is a rock star. He really, we were at 64 and we moved right up the top. So he took some heat to get us up there. And so did Doug Welton and Jeff Burton. Also, what was really heartening was that Val Peterson, the vice president of UVU, and also a representative, he put his name on it as well. So, that's the interest the UVU had in it. It'll have to come in about 3 different phases, maybe 4 at the most. But the first phase would be build a scaled back interchange, and then coming off of that will be the Nebo Beltway. And the Nebo Beltway will meander a little bit because of the wetland issues, but it'll come out at about 2100 West, which is where the Holdaway property was or is. And that's where all those high rises are being built. That'll be a very important intersection. And then eventually that will go up into Elk Ridge and over into Woodland Hills. That will be in addition to the county road that's being built there at 1600 West that goes out to Benjamin Spanish Fort. What's really exciting is that the church is involved in this as well. In order for this funding to come to fruition and be used, the church has to donate a substantial amount of property for the interchange and Nebo Beltway, which is about in the area of 45 acres. And, that's something that their attorneys are working on with the attorneys for UDOT. It's been funded. It couldn't come as early as at least the availability of the funding July 1st. But, they're going to have to get the legal language done first. And then it will take about 1.5 years, 18 months, something like that, for the engineering to be done. And then after the engineering, we'll transition. And then what's really nice about it is once they start this, they're not just going to let it sit. It'll have to be funded each year to continue the phases. So the critical one is getting the initial $100 million. And so, and the church is excited about developing that. So
Is there a start date?
What's that?
Is there a start date?
Not yet. We have to get the legal language done before we, because that church part is integral in the way it was worded in the legislature. It has to be finalized.
That's a huge win, though.
It is a big win.
Oh, it's a huge
From,
win.
from what we all thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
I
I thought
said,
that was
going
a
from
10-year.
64 to up to almost top the list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
That's amazing.
that's phenomenal.
We wouldn't be getting this had we not had our lobbyists, which they're working on other projects for us as well. And the other part was our legislators, and they really stepped up.
Yeah, that's great.
Could that possibly motivate UVU to
Yes, absolutely.
step forward?
Step forward, and it motivates UDOT to bring front runner. Neither one of those would happen if we don't have an interchange there. So they are very integral. I went up and met with the director of well, it was in a meeting and I got introduced to him, but the director of UDOT, and very, very cognizant of what's going on. Another rock star was the president of the Senate. He really stepped forward and helped put his name on this as well and negotiated with the church. So we got a lot of people to be thankful for. But
We learned how to play the game.
Yeah, you got to play the game.
We weren't very good at that for many
Somebody
years.
jumped over the top of you.
We're
So
playing the game.
yeah, that's exciting.
Another thing that happened just this last week is, there's a hotel pad behind Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
That just got purchased, so by a hotelier, he's planning on doing a Fairfield Marriott, so that will be, that'll probably be about a year. Yeah, it closed. So-
The exciting thing about that too, Garrett Patel is involved, and he owns about 10 or 15 hotels. Most of them are Marriott, so higher end. And he's is the landlord for Ruby River in Provo. And in fact, he was integral in get his hotel there is in Spanish Fork, where Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, okay.
So he knows people in both organizations. And I kind of whispered in his ear, I said, you know, now that you're involved, how about helping us with getting a state house? And I know Brian's working on one as well, but, you know, Ruby River could come to the south of Texas and really go head to head with them. And but on Texas Roadhouse still could come over here because there's, I mean, it's an hour, sometimes 2 hours wait, even on weekdays. They could come this way and be just fine. So anyhow, he knows people and his response was, well, they like me a lot. So he's going to start working on that.
Robert, do you have anything?
I don't. We just have a lot going on right now in the development community. Building permits are definitely down, but that's to be expected. And there's always an inverse relationship when the economy tightens a little bit, the actual application for building permit goes down, but the number of entitlement applications skyrockets. So because everybody uses it for the opportunity. So we have lots of applications for entitlements. But I will say that the business park is under full construction right now. If you haven't driven out there, I suggest you go through and see what's going on out there. It's exploding.
Yeah, I think we have over about $20 million of for commercial construction, which is like the highest, except for one other year. So they're back in the 80s. So
And there is another one at the north end of town, Mark Weldon's, which we've been dealing with for a while.
It'll be a beautiful facility.
Yes. The Browns, yeah, it's been a challenge, but it's being the Browns property. And eventually there'll be 4 buildings there. He's going to start 2 now. And he's made arrangements with the Browns so that they will be able to stay, or whoever will be able to stay in the house until. Yeah.
Dave, are you still on there? You're at your meeting. Guess he's gone. Who's Nicole's iPad?
Hi, I'm with the Utah County Commission Office, Brandon Gordon.
Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Brandon's been so great to work with, so.
He's pretty awesome.
You tell him that directly, okay?
Okay, I will.
Teresa, do you have anything?
Nope, just been listening to all you guys.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Great, thank you very much. Things are happening in Payson. It's a great community. It's gonna be better, so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ty.
Ben.